Donald Trump is a scratch golfer. When he was a child, he showed such extraordinary musical talent that he could have been the most brilliant musician in the history of everything. He got into the University of Pennsylvania entirely on his own merits. It had nothing to do with the fact that his older sister did his homework for him, or that he paid somebody to take his SATs, or that his older brother asked a buddy to do him a favor. The buddy worked in the admissions department of the University of Pennsylvania. No, it was entirely on Donald's own merits. Donald Trump just this past month cut drug prices for the American consumer by 1,500%, which is quite astonishing considering that is mathematically impossible. He also added 1 billion jobs to the U.S. economy. Now, have you ever heard the expression lies, damn lies, and statistics? Yeah, allegedly that came from Mark Twain, but we don't really know who said that first. And the whole point of that statement is that statistics can be manipulated to mislead people, right? But, it's sometimes data are data. If X number of jobs were added, I mean, it doesn't tell you what kind of jobs. It doesn't tell you if people are underemployed or overemployed, or if it's part-time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or if they're paid a living wage. But the number of jobs created is the number of jobs created. So how do we know that Donald Trump added 1 billion jobs to the United States economy this past month? Because that's what he told us. And since there is no longer anybody responsible for verifying such statements, I guess it's just all true. Let's dive in. Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. My voice still sounds weird. I apologize. And for those of you who don't know, a scratch golfer is typically somebody who does not cheat at golf. And two, is an amateur who has basically a handicap of 0 because that person is expected to play at par or below. So these are people who are almost as good as professional golfers. Donald Trump obviously is not a scratch golfer because, again, they don't typically need to cheat. Anyway, I wanted to start today with an update on the truly exemplary work that Texas Democrats are doing in order to block Donald's latest attempt to hijack democracy, specifically in Texas. Today, as the Texas House, I should say the Republican majority of the Texas House, tried to push forward with Donald's hostile takeover of Congress via redistricting and gerrymandering, those state Republicans failed to meet quorum. Why? Because Democrats left the state, and that is exactly what the Democrats were counting on. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that this infuriated Republicans, who are used to getting what they want, no matter how egregious, unconstitutional, or illegal their behavior is. They're livid that Democrats essentially are taking a page out of their own book and beating them at their own game, because Democrats aren't supposed to do that. Republicans are so angry that they're actually threatening to follow through with arrests of the Democrats, who are let's put this in context. What the Democrats are doing are trying to prevent the Republicans from stealing another election, right? So the Republicans voted on a motion to allow civil arrest warrants for those who did not attend the special session today, which would be all of the state House Democrats. Texas House Speaker Dustin Burrows said he would, quote, immediately sign the warrants for the civil arrest of the members who have said they will not be here, unquote, once the motion is passed, and said that the House would reconvene tomorrow at 1 p.m. with the expectation that Democrats would be back. Attorney General Ken Paxton, who is one of the most corrupt people in the entire United States, is also angry. Poor guy. After failing to reach quorum, he released a statement vowing to do, quote, everything in his power to hold them accountable, unquote. He said in the statement the following, quote, it's imperative that they, meaning the Democrats, be swiftly arrested, punished, and face the full force of the law for turning their backs on the people of Texas, unquote, says the man who has actually broken the law more times than I can count and has never been held accountable. Whereas the Democrats are simply trying to prevent the Republicans from doing something that is extra constitutional and very possibly extra legal. So let's be very clear. Republicans are threatening to arrest Democrats for a political maneuver in response to the Republicans' own political maneuver, while openly admitting that their own motivations for doing so are purely partisan. Just days ago, Republican Representative Todd Hunter said the quiet part out loud, which I guess is now sort of compulsory and expected for Republicans, when he was, take a look at this from Fox.
Friday was the first time Republicans in the Texas House went on the record in a hearing defending their proposed congressional redistricting map.
Is it fair to say that the map in HB 4 is based on political performance or partisan performance?
I'm telling you, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm telling you that we have 5 new districts, and these 5 new districts are based on political performance.
Representative Todd Hunter said that his map is drawn with the understanding that the Supreme Court allows partisan redistricting, the process triggered by President Trump, who said he could add 5 Republican seats before the midterm election in Texas. The new map makes some big changes here in North Texas. It moves Democrat Representative Mark Vesey's district from Tarrant and Dallas County to Dallas County only.
Donald Trump and Republican lawmakers want to erase this district.
Yes, that's exactly what they want to do. And they don't care if everybody knows it because they have stacked the deck in their favor and they've always been able to get away with it. So although they're claiming that the Democrats are playing games, what the Democrats are finally doing, or at least I should say the Democrats in Texas are finally doing, is playing by the same rules the Republicans are playing by, which is to say they're not playing by any rules at all. And this is a refreshing change and a necessary one. So the people of Texas are also starting to pay attention here. They're not buying the GOP's bullshit narrative. Hundreds of people showed up at the Capitol to speak out against the redistricting scheme. Watch this.
Democrats claim that the redrawn maps will violate the Federal Voting Rights Act. But as we have previously reported, that may be difficult for Democrats to prove. Of the nearly 500 people who signed up to give public comment, at least 80% of them were against the bill.
This is not about black, white, Latinos, or yellow. This is about the true representation of America, the true representation of Texas.
Will you side with justice or will you bend to partisan pressure? Will you protect the people's voice or participate in silencing it?
Over the course of 15 hours, hundreds of people lifted their voices to be heard. And still, many people there didn't have the chance to speak. That is how much Texans cared about having their democracy dismantled. So Republicans, I think you might want to start paying attention to the fact that people are paying attention. This is a miscarriage of justice. This is a scheme to weaken our democracy and make sure that the party in power stays in power, whether or not that is what the American people want. And I'm pretty sure more and more American people don't want this. And all of this is happening because nobody wants to stay in power more than Donald Trump. And of course, the Republicans are entirely dependent on him. What I want to say further before moving on is that this is an example of what happens when Democrats band together and finally face what the rest of us are facing: the dismantling of our democracy by cheating, by rigging the system. Now, we have heard Governors Pritzker from Illinois and Hochul from New York make it clear that they are getting it too. They understand that this is a war. In fact, that was the word that Governor Hochul of New York used: war. We are at war, and it is a war being waged against us, our Constitution, and our democracy by the Republican Party. So I said this right after the election. Our best hope going forward is going to be governors in blue states holding the line and leading the charge. So, national Democrats, wake the fuck up. All right. Now, the chaos Donald is causing, because it's just what he does. He's like it's like the Tasmanian devil, right? He's just this little whirling tornado that messes everything up. But it's not just chaos here that we're having to deal with. It is global. So although it's a new week, it's a new month, one thing still hasn't changed. Donald still cannot make a trade deal to save his life or our economy. His so-called art of the deal, which is and has been a myth since the very beginning, and we're going on like 5 decades now. So guys, catch up. It's basically just an extortion ring at this point. He's threatening countries with crippling tariffs unless they hand over investment pledges, which is something I literally have never heard of before. I don't know who came up with it. It certainly wasn't him, but it's quite something that this is where we are. Give me my trade deal or else. So Donald is facing another self-imposed deadline. Remember, it was August 1st. He wrote this in his failing social media platform, August 1st. August 1st. It will be August 1st. No exceptions. And then, of course, there were a lot of exceptions. And then he moved it to August 7th. Remember? Because he de-tacoed. So now we're 3 days out because trade negotiations with over 60 countries have failed. He has failed to reach deals with them. And by the way, I mean, the so-called deals he has reached are usually non-existent or terrible for us. So instead of crafting actual agreements, he's demanding that our former trading partners pay him off or face the consequences, which would be astronomical tariffs. Experts are calling it exactly what it is. This is economic blackmail. Scott Lincecum of the right-leaning Cato Institute told the New York Times, quote, "This is no doubt a global shakedown of sorts. The fact is that Donald is using U.S. tariff policy to effectively force these terms upon less than willing participants," unquote. Yeah, nice country you got there. It'd be terrible if something happened to it. So while Donald tries to shake down 60 plus countries for cash, he's also fighting with India, which is a massive country. And like they have a population, like at least the population of India is probably 4 times the population of the United States. And he's fighting with them over tariffs and trade conditions. Over the weekend, India made its intentions known. They will not be backing down. Donald, of course, couldn't handle this rejection, and he went into a bit of a fit on his failing social media app, writing, "India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchased, selling it on the open market for big profits. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine." Hold on, I'm going to stop that quote right there. Donald cares? Like we're supposed to expect that Donald cares about the horrific loss of life in Ukraine, considering the reason lives in Ukraine are being lost are largely because of him? Okay, back to the quote. Quote, because of this, I will be substantially raising the tariff paid by India to the USA, unquote. Yes, again, Donald doesn't care about Russia and Ukraine or what happens in either one of those countries. He cares that other countries are refusing to bend the knee to him. And when they refuse to bend the knee, he melts down. Luckily, it looks like India is not going to be budging. And I think it's safe to say that much like China, India probably has the upper hand here. In response to Donald's threats, India's foreign ministry responded today by calling the threats, quote, unjustified and unreasonable, unquote. The ministry also said the country, quote, will take all necessary measures to safeguard its national interests and economic security, unquote. That is exactly as it should be. And I don't say that with any pleasure, because every single time one of our trading partners refuses to negotiate, or let me rephrase, refuses to give in to the threats, refuses to kiss the ring, bend the knee, that's bad for us, not because they should, but because we don't have a responsible, sane person in charge. And we are going to be left in the dust. And again, good. Does this mean I'm rooting for the failure of America? No. What I'm rooting for is that for Donald's policies to be blamed for what's happening, so somebody can put a stop to it and repair all of the untold damage this one man has been allowed to do. Unless and until that happens, the best thing that can happen, not for America, but for the world, is for the countries that used to be our closest allies and best trading partners box us out completely and isolate us so we can stop doing such tremendous damage to the rest of the planet. So it seems like the only thing Donald knows to do with power, other than use it to enrich himself, is to abuse it. He does that. He's doing that abroad, and he's doing it here at home a lot and in many different ways. But I want to speak specifically about what's happening with Jack Smith in yet another move that's straight out of the fascist dictator's handbook. Donald is using, I was going to say our government, but it isn't really our government anymore. This is Donald's government, because he's in control of everything. And the people running our government agencies are in absolute alignment with him and will do whatever he tells them to do. Donald's government has been given the go-ahead to retaliate against Donald's so-called perceived political enemies.
The U.S. Office of Special Counsel confirmed to CBS News that Jack Smith is under investigation for potentially violating a federal law that bars government employees from interfering in elections. Smith ran 2 prosecutions against President Trump.
Okay, that's grotesque. It's grotesque. Jack Smith, let me rephrase. Donald wants to interesting slip of the tongue, prosecute Jack Smith. Why? Because Jack Smith was doing his job. And what was Jack Smith's job? To hold Donald accountable for his alleged crimes. Those crimes were not made up out of whole cloth. They were investigated and found to have been actionable. But Donald can handle that. So he's going after a man who is now a private United States citizen who was, again, doing his job. This investigation being started by Donald's Department of so-called Justice is baseless, it's lawless, and all of it, quite frankly, is terrifying. Because again, Smith was the special counsel. He was appointed by Merrick Garland to lead 2 cases against Donald. One for his attempt to overturn the 2020 election, which included the incitement of an insurrection against his own government that almost led to the murder of some of our elected representatives and their staff people, and directly led to the horrific and grievous injury of many, many Capitol police officers and the deaths of a few. The other case was the mishandling of classified documents, and I'm just going to be a little bit more blunt. The case was about the fact that Donald, after he left office in 2020, after having a little temper tantrum, January 2021, stole highly classified government documents that belonged to the American people and that he had absolutely no right to take with him. The probe of Smith was requested by not shocking, Republican Senator Tom Cotton, who, according to AP News, suggested that, quote, his conduct, meaning Smith's conduct, was designed to help then President Joe Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris, both Democrats, unquote. Well, I'm pretty sure Tom Cotton knows that that is all a lie. But again, he's a fascist too. So he is going to be a good soldier and follow orders. There is zero evidence that Jack Smith committed any wrongdoing. And beyond that, MSNBC reminds us that a 2021 New York Times investigation found, quote, 13 of Donald Trump's most senior aides, including his son-in-law and his chief of staff, campaigned illegally for Donald's reelection in violation of a law designed to prevent federal employees from abusing the power of their offices on behalf of candidates. Henry Kerner made the assertion in a withering report that followed a nearly year-long investigation into myriad violations of the law known as the Hatch Act, unquote. On the one hand, this is just another instance in which Donald is projecting. He is always accusing others of crimes he himself has committed. This is nothing new. On the other hand, this is an escalation that should alarm us, that should raise red flags, that should have everybody, including you, National Democrats, paying attention. This is the stuff of democracy's nightmares. So let's not pretend that it isn't a big deal or that all of this is going to blow over. This is just a sign of more to come. Is it Monday? How is that possible? I feel like we just lived through 5 days just now, like the last half hour. Anyway, guess what it's time to do? Cleansing breath, ocean breath, box breathing, whatever works for you. But seriously, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, or if you're into yoga breathing, inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. And if you're on a treadmill or on a stationary bicycle, breathe in through your mouth and out through your mouth. That would be my recommendation to you. Okay, it is time, thankfully, for today's emotional support moment. Okay, today's ESM comes by personal request from our very own awesome Midas Cheryl, who asked for a story about owls, which is fantastic because owls are just amazing. In a year full of famous birds, and there have been many famous birds, we found one thing that we wanted to focus on tonight. A pair of well-known owls in San Francisco. And for that, we are going to go to CBS News.
On a hill in San Francisco, known more for its views than its visitors,
look at that.
A quiet crowd has started to gather. Every day, like clockwork, they show up in the same spot. The newcomers drawing this attention, a pair of great horned owls and their fluffy, wide-eyed chicks.
They have kind of like cat-like or almost human-like faces where the eyes face forward.
In a year where birds have been turning into bona fide sensations, like those bald eagles and Big Bear whose nest cam drew millions, this quiet pair has become the toast of San Francisco. Great horned owls usually nest much higher up. This pair picked a tree that puts them practically at eye level for anyone walking by. Whatever brings them here, they leave with a little more love for the wild things that share this city, just as long as they don't get too close. Because sometimes the best way to bring a community together is to give a hoot about your neighbors.
Well, okay. Not wrong. Although I would have liked more camera time on the owls. Not that it isn't fascinating to watch people look through binoculars, but more owls. Okay, owls are just incredible. And I want to see more of those. I think our ESMs are going to have to get longer, quite frankly. Like maybe the Friday ESM should just be like 48 hours long to get us through until the next one. Okay, let us jump over to your questions, comments, etc. Yes, wow, thank you so much for that. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Jan, fabulous, gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. I apologize again. My voice sounds terrible. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'll just have to stop talking for a few days. And I know maybe some people would appreciate that, but unfortunately, that's not a thing that could happen. And Maya Cheryl, who is responsible for that ESM, for inspiring that ESM. Thank you, Maya Cheryl. As always, International Owl Awareness Day donation. Yes. Be aware. Seriously, owls are just like the coolest. And listen, they're predators, so you have to be careful. Give them their space. But they are stunningly beautiful. Quick story about it. And this is my only owl story. So I was on the Cape. Cape Cod has amazing bike trails. So the only things allowed on the bike trails are they go right through the woods. Like I think they're like 30 miles long. They're awesome. And they're in perfect condition. Bicycles, not skateboards. What are they called? Inline skates and people who are walking. That's it. No motorized vehicles. And I was riding my bike. And there's a bridge, and on either side are just these beautiful bogs. Just beautiful. And as I'm heading towards this bridge, an owl flew right in front of me. I don't know what kind of owl it was, but it was absolutely stunning. It had this massive wingspan. And yes, for a split second, I thought, that would have hurt. Like literally, if I had been just like five feet ahead, owls are. I mean, unless the owl was hungry and wanted, thought my head was something that was prey. Luckily, the owl did not, and it was just stunningly beautiful. They have lots of nests on the Cape, and it's really cool. Knucklehead. I'm not comfortable calling anybody a knucklehead, but welcome and thank you. His Divine Scatter, thank you so much, as always. Comment, I live in Texas. I'm used to Dems losing by GOP gerrymandering, but their new map will make it impossible to win. Yes, it will. It will make it impossible for the Democrats to take back the House of Representatives if Democratic governors in blue states don't fire with fire. Don't fight fire. And that's why I was so heartened today, not just by J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, who has been the most consistently outspoken since the beginning, but also Governor Hochul of New York, who has way too often, for my taste, pulled her punches. She gave a blistering, very blunt speech about this. And that gave me hope. Yes, Are there mechanisms in place to prevent this kind of manipulation in blue states? Why? Because Democrats believe in democracy. But what Hochul and Pritzker are telling us is the following. If you want to save democracy, you cannot be the only side playing by rules the other side has set on fire. Thank you, His Divine Shadow. Lizzie Beth, super sticker. Thank you very much. Dorothy Reed, welcome. Member for 2 months. Excellent. Susan, thank you as always. Gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Fabulous. I'm feeling a little giddy, and I think it's because it's only Monday. And I thought it was like Thursday. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what? Maybe the way that Donald is completely destroying like the laws of math, maybe the laws of physics, maybe the temporal stuff is all kind of out of whack as well. I don't know. I assume all these things are interconnected somehow. Mary, thank you very much. Extremely kind of you. This is new. Feel like shit, Fee. Yeah, I can relate. Thank goodness for cats. No kidding. I am with you there. Steve, comment. He and the Republicans have been the ones who deserted Ukraine. He, I'm assuming, means Donald. Yes, absolutely. We are not stupid. We've heard you do it. Their deaths are on Donald's hands. Without question. What Donald Trump, with the complete abdication of the Republican Party, has done is despicable. And one can only hope that we figure out a way to stop it. The abandonment of the Ukrainian people is a stain on this country we should never, ever live down. Horrifies me. J Escape Artist comment, Jack Smith had to let the cases drop. They were without prejudice, meaning he can bring them back once Donald is out of office. Yes, and that is important. That's very important. And thank you for reminding me. But we're talking potentially 3 years. So I don't know. More than 3 years, actually. But I like your way of thinking. So thank you. In the middle of nowhere, thank you so very much. That's very much appreciated. A charm of finches at my feeder feet. First of all, finches are awesome. I did not know that a group of finches was called a charm. That is so much better than a clouder of cats. Like, what is a clouder? But a charm. That is poetic. Susan, thank you so very much. Fee for Owl March. Ooh, that's got my wheels spinning. Thank you. In the middle of nowhere again. That is phenomenal. Oh, all caps, important. Happy National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. How did I not know that? Yes, happy National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Seriously, guys, we need as much as we can to celebrate. So if you know things like that, put it in the chat, because seriously, I mean, I'm not really a dessert person, but there is nothing quite like a homemade chocolate chip cookie right out of the oven, you know? And that cookie deserves its own day. It should be international, quite frankly. Ashley, thank you so very much for that comment. We had 2 friends detained by ICE here on work visas. We are no longer able to play soccer at our usual fields due to ICE presence. Our world feels so much smaller. Yes, and colder. The sooner ICE is dismantled, the better. I've had it. I mean, it's grotesque at this point with these abominable people these thugs, these brown shirts, these weak, pathetic people are doing just to feel better about themselves. It's infuriating and, quite frankly, dangerous. And I am so very sorry about your friends. Daniel, Canadian in the house, elbows up. Man, we need to keep our elbows up. Thank you, Daniel. Tia Mia, one of our super stickers. Thank you so much. That is great. Oh, so hold on. I'm not sure what just happened. Oh, I see what just happened. Sorry. Beans, thank you very much. That's great. Comment, just because your shows are incredibly informative and give hope that we can fight back. Well, thank you. That is very much appreciated. We try. I think we have the best team out there. So why am I qualifying it? We have the best team out there. And yes, they do a brilliant job. Donna, thank you so very much. As always, that's fantastic. Comment, I have held an owl fee. They are so light and fluffy. Wow. That's amazing. I'd love to hold an owl. I mean, only if the owl wanted me to, obviously. And Anita, one of our super stickers. Thank you, Anita. So very much appreciated. Okay, that does it for us. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. It's Monday. Who knew? So to everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and my Substack, The Good in Us, to everybody listening to the podcast, thank you. To all of our new members, people gifting memberships, that's just so awesome. To all of our amazing super stickers, to all of the people giving us gifts. We could not do this without you. We would not do this without you, quite frankly. To the moderators who help create this beautiful community that just makes being here such a pleasure, especially on the hard days, quite frankly. And as always, to my aforementioned brilliant team who just knocks it out of the park every single day. I couldn't possibly do this without them. So my thanks as always. And since it's Monday, Mary Trump Live will be every weekday night, I guess, this week, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. But please do not forget that we pre-record videos. We drop at least 2 every day, including on the weekends. And it is really helpful. The easiest way to support us is to subscribe to the channel, which is free. It gives you access to all of our public videos. And again, that's all of the lives, all the pre-recorded videos. So sometimes that's 3 or 4 videos every single day, including weekends. Okay. I'm not kidding you. We are, as of right this minute, 18 subscriptions away from 450,000 subscribers. How cool would it be to be the 500,000th? No, wrong. Oh, that would be really cool. But that's probably not happening tonight. How cool would it be to be the 450,000th? Because that's just 18 people from now. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Another very easy way to help us out is to watch, like, and share all the pre-recorded videos and comment on them, because it's all about engagement. And, Twitter really likes engagement. And of course, you can check out our paid memberships. If you go to our homepage and click on subscriptions, you'll see all the different levels. Speaking of which, to all of my BAM Book Club peeps, I am so sorry. We will be rescheduling. I promise you. The book is The Bluest Eye that we're going to be discussing. If you guys want to join us, check out the memberships again. This book is extraordinary, and it's extremely moving. And this book club is all about elevating books that have been banned in the United States of America, which is a sentence nobody should ever have to say, quite frankly. So we will be in touch, I promise you. And I apologize. And I'm going to explain where I was and what I was doing and what happened And I think you'll understand because I was involved in a very small way in an extraordinary event that my friends Norm and Judy Ornstein put on every year. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. So I will definitely be telling you about it. And hopefully Norm will come on to talk about it with me as well. Speaking of the Nerd Avengers, because Norm, of course, is one of our core nerds, we will be back. We are just working with the team to reconfigure things and make sure that we are making the most of the nerds who, as you know, if you're familiar with them, are like the best people on the planet. So I will leave you there. I will see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. Bye.